So we get a lot of email from people asking us about the cars that we build or projects of their own, and recently this one actually came from a guy that I know who wants to get rid of his 1 or 2 year old car and buy a car from the 60s to drive it every day. And he was kind of posing this as a question of, is this a good idea or not? So we've all had a lot of experience with trying to do the same thing. So I thought we'd kind of throw out a couple of thoughts on if it's a good idea to get an old car and drive it every day.
I say yes.
Why do you say yes?
Well, okay, it depends on the everyday commute, first of all, if you're driving on city streets or major highways. But I think they were great when they first came out. I think they're great now, and as long as you have maintained it and it's safe, I see no reason not to.
Well, I think the challenge becomes, this guy wants to buy the car off eBay. So if you can't, I think you have to trust the car.
Yes.
And if you don't know the car, you can't trust the car. And you know, if you're gonna drive it every day, you want reliability. So what are some elements that are gonna make an old car reliable? Because people drove them every day when they were new, you know, 40, 50 years ago, but people are different now.
Yeah, they're picky now.
and we're used to things working all the time. So your truck is kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, I drive pretty often my 67 Chevy, which has got a late model Vortec V8 in it. And I drive 60 miles to come to work, and driven it for the last 2 weeks straight, and it's been fine, but it's not really a 67 Chevy anymore. It's a 2002 Chevy that looks like a 67 Chevy.
Well, and we kind of cheat the same way because our 62 Galaxy has a late model EFI driveline and some other upgrades. It's not an old car anymore. It looks like one. And this guy's talking about getting, you know, a mid-60s Oldsmobile that is an old car.
Well, then you go back to the 54 Chevy with the Durham brakes, and it only goes 55, 60 miles an hour. So then you've got to make sure you have the proper blinkers,
Yes.
working defroster,
But,
those kind of things.
And again, you did a ton of work on that thing. So I think the important things for reliability are, if you look at the systems, I would say, look at start in the back and go to the front. Look at the fuel system, because you buy an old car, it could have 2 inches of rust and stuff in the gas tank. I know lots of people that have bought cars that have had fiberglass patches and Band-Aids stuck to the fuel tank, you know, and it didn't leak until they got it home. and that's not a fun job. There's rubber hoses under there that dry out. You got fuel lines front to back that could rust and have problems. Drum brakes are challenging unless you have them all properly adjusted. I know before we did the disc brake conversion in our Galaxy, you'd step on the drum brakes and it would move you promptly into the oncoming lane. There's the dynamic lane change feature. And you've done all that stuff on your truck too.
Yeah, I've got disc brakes on my truck, and the power conversion too, so you don't have to be Superman to stop the thing.
Yes, and the 54 Chevy is a manual steering.
Yes, which isn't bad for around town driving or even out on the highway. The concern with the 54 is that you can only go 55 to 60 miles an hour. So if you're out on a major highway, you might be in the way or doing the slow lane a lot.
All right, so would you drive the 54 every day in Los Angeles?
No.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't drive it on the 405. I would drive it on the 1, or, you know, the side streets, you know, two lanes, through towns, cities, that would be okay. Out on the 405, way far traffic, you know, 8 lanes of traffic, have to go 70. No, not gonna do it.
Parallel parking.
Parallel parking is difficult, but I've done it. It's not hard.
So you'll have big strong arms like Bull from turning that manual steering wheel. But okay, so the other consideration is, like, to use the 54, you fill it up with gas and the truck smells like gas.
Well, yes.
Because the tank's in the cab with you.
The tank is in the cab, so there's a safety factor there. You aren't protected from, if you were in a collision, the fuel is in the cab with you.
And you don't know necessarily what happened to this car before you bought it. Like Trevor, after he drove his truck, he found that half the frame was gone.
Yeah, 30,000 miles. And then I realized that a crossmember was completely missing.
Yeah, somebody had cut it out to do a previous modification. I don't know what, but they removed that. So, and then other maintenance items that you don't think about anymore. The tune-up ignition points on a point distributor, you know, cap rotor, fluid changes more often.
Valve adjustments more often.
Valve adjustments, you got to make sure that it's going to cool, that the cooling system's up to par. You know, old radiators have a lot of sediment in them oftentimes, and hot days. So, you know, I think the thing to do is find a car that at least the owner might have some history on, and hopefully a few upgrades. I'm all for disc brakes, especially in the front of the car, because they make them drive so much nicer. What else would you do as a mandatory daily driving upgrade?
I would throw points away.
Throw the points away.
Yep.
And probably put an MSD box in it, because that's one of the best reasons the 54 always starts for us.
That's true. An alternator conversion. Some of the cars from the 60s and earlier have generators, and they don't make, you know, the last thing you want to do is be sitting, of course, you know, if you're in Southern California, it doesn't rain out every day, but imagine being in hot or cold weather with the heater on or the AC cranked, wipers on, headlights on, and it's raining like crazy, and your generator can't keep up, and your wipers are going like this, you know, and your headlights are dim, you know, that kind of sucks, and it's going to leak.
It's going to leak. They all do.
The weather strip has dried out, and car might have been damaged, so chances are it's going to leak. But I guess the other piece of advice would be find a more common car instead of, you know, a 59 Chrysler or something, because you won't be able to get parts for it.
And then you have to decide mentally if you're okay driving without seat belts. A lot of them didn't come with seat belts. Without airbags. And just make sure all your lights work, your blinkers, because, you know, we added some to the 54 because there weren't any. And things like that to just keep you a little safer on the road.
And then how do you prep your friends?
Yeah.
Or your significant
Well,
other?
they're going to think the car is cool, but how to get them to ride along with you, that's up to them.
I think if you want to go on that page, getting people to ride along with you, they might think it's cool the first couple times, but an old car isn't quiet like a new car. There's wind noise. They often have vibration problems because things weren't balanced like they are today.
Well, some of them are much quieter and much smoother, though. I mean, if you end up with an early, you know, 60s Cadillac or Oldsmobile, you won't even know it's moving, you know? Although, keep in mind, those tires, bias-ply tires, they're kind of all over the road and they suck. And little stuff, the things that wear out, battery cables. I can't tell you how many times you've seen a car that doesn't start and it turns out to be a bad end of a battery cable. But I think, getting back to your friends going along, if they don't like it, then you don't have to drive anymore, so it saves gas.
Especially since none of these get good gas mileage.
Yes, but we can fix all that. Send it here. We can put upgraded stuff in, make it get gas mileage and be reliable, whatever we want. So send your letters to info@v8tv.net. If you have any questions like this, we'll try and answer them. And if you get the old car, good luck. Just be prepared, right?
Right.